Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Darkest Dungeon video here on the channel. It's been a while since my last video, but I've been unfortunately pretty busy moving and doing other things of the sort, or related to it. But, now that I finally am settled in, I'm going to be able to start cranking out new videos very often, guides and playthroughs. Not to mention that with the release of the game, um, in, let's see, 4 days. Wow. In 4 days, I'm planning on getting this save all the way up to the highest possible spot I could get it to in terms of upgraded Hamlet and all that, and hopefully be able to, delve right into the Darkest Dungeon itself and crank out as much new content and guides and walkthroughs as possible. With that said, I wanted to share with you guys a fun composition. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it, but to those that are not, this composition or party composition, when you load it into the roster, at the bottom you'll get a little title or flavor text calling it the Holy Flame. It's pretty much a party composed of 2 Crusaders in the front and 2 Vestals in the back. And the idea here that between the 2 Vestals we have 2 stuns that could be used as far as the 3rd rank on the enemy team, a self-heal with some offensive capabilities for Judgment, and then obviously the single target and party heals that will then allow us to bank on that massive amount of healing and actually be able to outdo the damage that the enemy outputs. Between the Crusaders, we have Smite, and then it's up to you at this point whether you want to have either Zealous Accusation or Stunning Blow on the Crusaders. I'm personally a fan of Zealous Accusation, considering that we already have more than enough stuns across the Vestals. And then simply Holy Lance so that we could have the Crusaders attack the backline and Inspiring Cry on both. The idea with Holy Lance is that once you get the appropriate trinkets and quirks, you're going to always want to put the Crusader that is faster in the second row and the Crusader that is slower in the first row. The concept here is that the faster Crusader will get to act first, allowing him to have the option of Holy Lancing the back line if you need to. This will put him up at the front, and then the slower Crusader, when his turn is up, will then be allowed to, actually just for simplicity's sake, let's do this. The faster Crusader will get to act first, use Holy Lance, it'll send him up front, and then the second Crusader, which is more likely to go second because he's slower, then gets to use Holy Lance as well. And you can essentially just rotate these 2 Crusaders out. Now, this is a little disclaimer since I'm making this video so soon to release. In a scenario where some of the skills get jumbled around or changed a little bit, like, I don't know, maybe Smite has its positioning changed, or Zealous Accusation, or Stunning Blow, or Holy Lance, or something like that gets changed to where some of the skills get altered, always remember that there is an ulterior option here, which is to swap out the 3rd Vestal, the Vestal in position 3 for another Crusader in position 3. At that point, you're trading out one of your stuns on the Vestal, and you could probably just put a stun on the 1st Crusader here, and then you're trading in the heals for additional offensive firepower, which is a completely reasonable trade-off in this game, considering that heals naturally are not meant to, or usually rather, are not meant to allow you to outdo or outpace the enemy's damage, but rather just, be able to keep your characters off death's door and such. But by allowing to have a 3rd Crusader instead of a Vestal here, you can then have a higher utility off of Holy Lance, as well as I said, allowing yourself to deal more damage instead of relying on heals as much, which will essentially have the same sort of outcome. The benefit to that, to the 3 Crusader build, however, is that you have 3 Inspiring Cries up on the dungeon, I guess, in the party. And I will show you in the following fights how to properly utilize this composition to its best possible state? I don't know, just play optimally, I guess. Finally, just real quick, this is a long dungeon. I already camped once, and as you can see, these characters have a very, very high amount of stress reduction. This Crusader I also have plus 60% damage. I know, that's a lot, because I actually brought 5 holy water with me, and I used 2 of them on the shrines of the angel, or whatever. I mean, it's not, that's what, not what it's called, but that's at least what it appears is on the curio. It's these like little shrines or pedestals. You use holy water on them, and you get 30% damage buff. And without holy water, I think the damage buff drops down to 20%. But still, I used 2 of those. So this Crusader is rightfully so buff as all hell. He's nearly at 100% damage increase. Now, stun skill chance. I'm actually going to rotate that in here, so that this Vestal will essentially have a higher stun chance. So that was nice. That was a good find. In terms of trinkets, at the moment I don't have too large a variety since I'm only on week 23 or 24 or something like that. So I don't have much of an option in terms of what I want to give these Crusaders that modifies their speed. So I just ended up equipping both of them with Legendary Bracer to just increase their damage output. And unfortunately, this resulted with both of them having a -2 speed, so I don't exactly have the opportunity of putting one Crusader in the back with much higher speed than the one up front. Although, when I get the trinket I'm about to mention, I would otherwise equip it here instead of the Legendary Bracer. And the trinket I'm referring to is, if I recall, it's like, dang, I completely forgot what it's called. It's like Fury Talisman or something like that. Fury Trinket, Necklace, whatever. And that trinket's a rare trinket. It has 15% damage, gives an additional 2, I think, 2 or 3, I think it's 2 though, speed, and then increases stress damage taken by 15% and virtue chances decreased by 10%, I believe, something like that. But anyway, by swapping the Legendary Bracer out with that particular rare trinket, the damage may decrease by 5%, but the speed would instead increase by 5, which will then allow this Crusader to be running a much, much higher speed rating than the other Crusader. And this would essentially give you the speed difference you need in order to almost always, not always, but almost always, guarantee that the Crusaders in the back will get the opportunity of using Holy Lance first, which will then move the Crusader up front to the back, and then allow this Crusader in the second position to use their Holy Lance. So, now that we're here, let's go ahead and get started. My characters are doing pretty good on health here, so I'm not actually going to rely on the Vestal's heals at the moment. Stunning enemies and reducing their damage output or their stress output is hands down the best way to prevent damage. The difference between healing and stunning is that healing is a band-aid solution to damage abilities from the enemy, whereas stunning the enemy practically, guarantees that you won't be damaged. If, of course, the stun connects. And especially in the runes here, the stuns are almost guaranteed to connect because these skeletons have incredibly low stun resistance. I mean, without this buff, this courtier is looking at only 10% stun resistance, and these vessels have 120% base now that I got the stun stone here on this vessel as well. So I'm essentially guaranteed a stun on the back row here, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now at this point he already has increased stun chance, and I actually, believe it or not, do not want to kill him yet. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is heal these Crusaders. Now you'll notice that the heal rating for a level 2 vessel here is actually pretty high. The rating on Divine Grace is 5 to 6 in terms of heals, but I just healed for 8, and that's thanks to these trinkets right here. The main point in this trinket is the 33% healing skills, and this trinket gives an additional 20%. And happily enough, the reward for completing this dungeon would be the healing tome for the vessels, which is the rare trinket that gives an additional 33% healing strength. So if I put both the Healing Tome and the Sacred Scroll on a single Vestal, I'll be running her with 66% increased healing skills, which would then allow Divine Grace, for example, to, if it procs for a 6 heal, I would end up instead healing for 9, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, as you see, because of the plus 53% healing skill combined from these trinkets, Divine Comfort, which is supposed to heal for only 2 or 3, is guaranteed to heal for 4. No, wait, am I doing math wrong? Yeah, I am. Well, it's not guaranteed to hit for 4, but it could heal for anywhere between 3 to a 4, I believe, or something like that. So, just increases Divine Comfort's value, and just because of mathematically how these skills are equalized, Divine Comfort with the additional healing strength can result with far higher net heals across your team. So for example, let's say everyone here has 4 damage, I use Divine Comfort, I could recover 16 health by using Divine Comfort, not with this vessel, this one's level 1. There we go, this one. I could recover 16 health, whereas this one could at best give me only 9 health. So generally speaking, if you have one character that have health and others that are slightly damaged, using Divine Comfort tends to be, in terms of net healing, more valuable than Divine Grace. But again, it all comes down to what your feeling would be the right decision at that point in time. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to remove these corpses, send this courtier up to the front. Now this will prevent him from using his stress ability, and this would instead allow me to then stun him this turn. And then go ahead and actually, now that he's had this action and I'm already on round 4, I don't think I'm going to go ahead and have this fight go on. There you go, see, 5 on each character with 2 to 3 heal. So I actually healed for a whopping 20 health right here, and this, unlike the occultist's heal, is guaranteed to heal. Well, I guess in this case it will heal anywhere between 4 to 5 on each character for a 16 to 20 heal, guaranteed. The occultist can only pray, or I guess pray to Cthulhu. Yeah, sacrifice lambs. I don't fucking know what the occultists do, but the occultists can essentially only hope that they will proc heals that strong, that often. So again, what this essentially... Oh, I did not mean to kill him. I did not mean to kill him. I wanted to use at least one of these guys as a sparring cry.
Mount, so too will
and then
resistance.
Kill him with the other Crusader. Anywho. Oh, shoot. I should have done something. I mean, again, this is extremely situational because I got lucky and I got the Bloodthirst. Came in with the Bloodthirst ring and found a Stunstone. But what I should have done there is gone to, I don't know, any of the characters, and while that prompt was open, swap out the Bloodthirst ring into their inventory, and that would have actually decreased
Secrets and wonders can be found
hunger
in the most
or food cost by the
this
party
place.
from 4 to 3, which would have been great. But alas, I forgot. Let's get rid of the medicinal herbs. I bring medicinal herbs just to interact with any Iron Maidens or alchemy table if I find any, but generally speaking, I find the rewards out of those curios to be not as great as some of the other ones, like for example the decorative urns, which give phenomenal rewards, as well as the cabinets locked cabinets that you will find in the ruins. So I just generally do not have much of a problem saying goodbye to a medicinal herb out of my inventory. I brought 2, used 1, tossed the other, no big deal. Anyway, I'm not going to be stunning the damage dealer, even though he does have a turn left, and the reason for that is because I wanted to guarantee that this courtier does not get a chance to act next turn. My characters may have very high stress reduction, but unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I mean this is intentional, I am running in the dark right now, and I want to make sure that... Oh, I missed. I do want to make sure that at the very least nice. I prevent as much stress damage as possible. Yes, the Madman was actually stunned, but I went ahead and killed him anyway because he's that high of a high value of the target to remove from the field. Now this is... I stunned with my weaker level 0 Vestal, and now I'm going to use my level 2 Vestal that has the strong heal, stronger heals and the heal charms to go ahead and recover quite a bit of health here. Let's take a look if it's going to be, let's see, this is 1, and then it could either be 12 or 15 here, so anywhere between 13 to 16 health. Yep, 16 health. Okay, so 1 here and then 5 on everyone else. Wonderful. Now at this point, just go ahead and remove him. Now, that 60% damage is phenomenal, but even without it, for example, looking at his damage output, his damage is more than sufficient to eliminating most of these enemies in a single shot. Now, again, what I'll do is go ahead and remove corpses and allow myself to take a little single extra turn here and get some extra healing off. And again, just top off all the characters, go ahead and use Inspiring Cry on these characters. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into the next turn, because I do believe that I will not get a stress penalty. Yep. And now I'm just going to stun him for good measure. It's probably going to proc. If it doesn't, no big deal. I'll try again. Wonderful. Now he's going to act because my Crusaders are really slow, but because he's stunned, I took no damage. I'm going to go ahead and stress recover here, crit heal for a wonderful 11 stress, and boom, finish him off in a single shot. Now, as you can see, we're finishing these fights, starting out that little to no... Okay, narrator, thanks for not talking over me. Now, as you can probably see, we're finishing these fights with barely any stress gained, if at all, and literally no damage in any of these characters. Mind you, this is a level 1 dungeon, so we're not experiencing any of the larger mobs, but at least early on, when you want to start out and you get an opportunity to create this kind of roster with some appropriate trinkets, with the proper use of camping skills, which, by the way, I don't think I've talked about it, but when I camp, I use Unshakable Leader on both Crusaders and then Stand Tall on both Crusaders, which gives the Vestals 40% stress reduction and the Crusaders a whopping 55% stress damage reduction. I'd really like to take this portrait with me. I do have a lot of food, but I want both of these stacks. So we're gonna go ahead and get rid of the gold. I'm doing incredibly well in gold. When I finish this dungeon, I'll show you. I have an enormous amount of gold right now in my hamlet off these kind of runs. You know, these runs of really optimal parties that when I finish the dungeon, I don't need to worry about stress treatments for any of them, which results with a lot of money saved in the long run. Another decorative urn. 0 darkness, let's see what kind of gems I get. It's almost guaranteed to drop gems, I believe. At least it's designed that way. And you know what? Let's get rid of torches. We don't need those. We don't need torches. We like the dark. Oh, I forgot to do it again. It's just forced to habit. So you could save so much food by just swapping out the Bloodthirst ring into one of the characters' inventories.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Now this is an explore mission, so this is bugging me. 5 frickin' keys. I'm dying. I hate throwing away treasure. Absolutely hate it. But it's okay. I mean, oh wow, this is the second Outrage shrine we find. Activating these removes negative quirk if you happen to have holy water with you, which for the ruins I bring a lot of holy water and a lot of keys, because there's cabinets, there's treasure chests, and then there's all these different shrines and altars that you can, and fountains that you can interact with while you're in the dungeon here. Just deleting these guys. Now, real quick, going to talk about the trinkets. As I said, I put damage trinkets on the Crusaders for obvious reasons. I got lucky and found a Holy Slayer's ring which in the ruins, of course, is a wonderful, wonderful trinket. Gives a whopping 25% damage against most enemies in the ruins, with a very, very, very easily dismissed negative debuff. And with the Vestals, one of them I'm going to make a healer, and she sits in the back, and I mean the position of the Vestals doesn't matter too much. And then with the second Vestal, I usually tend to make one of the back lines a utility character, and the other one either healer, stunner, or damage dealer of sorts. So, for example, this Vestal is equipped with utility type trinkets. So the best utility trinket I have right now is a survival guide. That 20% extra scouting chance goes quite a long way in terms of revealing the map here and preventing my party from getting shuffled due to spotting fights ahead of time. Now, earlier I said that the maximum heal I was expecting is a 9 from a single heal from Divine Grace, but I actually just healed for a 10, which is phenomenal. I mean, I'll take it. I don't quite recall how the rounding works in this game, though I do think that it rounds up most of the time. Anyway, let's go ahead and stun this guy. Now, notice how I've been pretty much alternating the stuns in between these enemies. So I've essentially taken very few hits, and we're already into round 3. Alright, now I'll take any of these.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Alright, what I'm actually going to do here, I reduced the cost of feasting from 8 to 6. I can go ahead and swap this back. Now, as you see, instead of paying 8 food, I only paid 6, and I got to hold on to a very large portion of my food. And now at this point, I could actually go ahead and I got rid of a food stack and a firewood. So at this point, I could just go ahead and move some of these things back into my inventory. Now at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and not rely on extra accuracy or anything like that. These guys are, being bosses and not missing. So I'm just going to go ahead and use Unshakable Leader and Stand Tall on both. Now again, we're very close to release. I'm not sure what the camping skills will look like. If I recall, they're making some sort of a pass on camping skills. I have no idea what to expect. But as it stands now, if the theme of these characters remain the same, you'll be able to stack up quite a bit of stress reduction on these characters. Now let's take a look. Considering that we're going to be removing a negative quirk here, I want to look at, what kind of quirks we have and what we can remove. Known Cheat, for example, or Tippler, are quirks that I want to get locked in on these characters because they do not influence combat whatsoever. Things like Warren's Phobe, however, that increases splash damage are bad, but again, this is just for the Warrens specifically, so I'm not too worried about this particular quirk. Easy solution, don't take her into the Warrens, and then suddenly, technically speaking, these aren't influencing me right now, the Tippler and the Known Cheat, and Warrens isn't influencing me right now, so this character is essentially running with 4 positive quirks and no negative quirks that are affecting her. Granted, again, some of these don't come into play, but for the most part, being able to selectively know which quirks you can remove or should actually keep as bad quirks and let them lock in can save you a lot of gold and a lot of problems, because removing, for example, Known Cheat and Tippler and then having terrible quirks that reduce evasion or accuracy or damage and have those locked in instead could be extremely detrimental to your characters. Now, Fear of Beasts, again, not too worried about this. Let's try to get rid of Ruminator. Alright, I mean, a big part of parties revolving around the Crusader, or that include the Crusader, is being able to use Inspiring Cry. And any sort of stress heal modification that reduces stress heals is not welcome. So let's go ahead and try to get rid of it. Let's hope we're lucky. Unfortunate, but no biggie. It is what it is. Alrighty, let's go ahead and snuff out the torch once more. And even though I only need to oh man, we don't have any holy water. Hopefully we'll find some in the next rooms here, or the hallways. Now, granted, I only need to explore 90% of the dungeon, but this party is notorious for doing incredibly well, especially here in the ruins where the skills naturally have increased damage against unholy. So we should be able to just breeze through this dungeon with ease while taking little to no damage. Now, of course, I'll take this, but I'm probably going to end up tossing it at some point. These 250 gold each gems are just not that valuable. You keep them in your inventory, and if you finish the dungeon with them because you didn't need the slot, great. You got an extra 500 or 750 gold or something like that. But generally speaking, they get thrown out pretty damn quickly. Now again, these extra damage trinkets are just allowing me to shred through all these weak mobs. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and use Inspiring Cry here, bring her stress down to 2. Remove his stress from 10 to 5, reduce, sorry, his stress from 10 to 5. And let's actually AoE heal. I know one heal on 2 characters isn't much, but we didn't really need her to do any other action.
At least
And actually, we have a little anti-venom here, so let's, remove this light right there. And in hindsight, I just realized I threw away 300 gold. I could have actually gotten rid of the citrine here and thrown that 300 gold into my inventory as instead. I mean, and I'm sure that 300 gold would have very, very quickly reached the 1,500 gold cap. I don't know how I feel about this. I can't remember if these inflict any diseases and all that. I don't care about too much. I can remove them when I get to town. Quirks, I don't want to get some negative quirk. Whatever. There we go. Good. Nice and lucky. Cool. So at the moment, I mean, we're not we're barely halfway through the dungeon. Not even. We're like 2/3 of the dungeon. Sorry, 1/3 to the dungeon. We have 2/3 left, and we are currently looking at a large amount of busts, portraits, deeds, crests, and 2, 4, 5, 6, 7,500 gold. And mind you, again, this is a long dungeon, so the reward in terms of busts for the ruins. Oh, hello. The reward in terms of busts, gold, and the trinket are going to be phenomenal. And this is not bad at all. I welcome this setup. Having 3 highwaymen is definitely the worst possible scenario. So this is just fine, especially since it's round 1, they can't act, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove the highwaymen out of the equation and start going to town to the collector. Yes, I'm keeping the Vestals alive actually, because I have no interest in getting rid of them at all. I welcome their existence. I definitely prefer this over an annoying man-at-arms or a highwayman. So at this point, let's go ahead and we're going to be alternating stunts around between the collector and this full health Vestal. Let's see who we get here. Another highwayman, which we can remove very, very easily. No problem at all. Now this Vestal will stun him. We're not going to attack him with the Vestal because we're not actually going to eliminate him. I need to start using Holy Lance on this Crusader. The one in the back. You know what, let's damage her. I figured it wouldn't kill her, so this is fine. Only 7 and 6 damage. Mind you, again, we're at extremely low dark. Not at complete dark, but pretty damn low torchlight, and we barely took stress damage thanks to this whopping 55% stress damage reduction. Let's go ahead and hopefully get a stun in on here. Now, mind you, we're very slowly increasing the light levels back up, which is fine. It's a shame, really, because I'd love to get the better trinkets that are available from this encounter, but you know, at the end of the day, let's try and kill him anyway. At the end of the day, holy shit, not much of a choice, because, you know, if I want to get some stuns and some stress healing in, I'm going to have to increase the torchlight. Not much I can do about that. As I said, I'm going to be alternating the stuns across these characters. Let's go ahead and remove the highwayman off the field, and now I can just go ahead and use smite in these characters. Now notice, they've barely been able to act. I mean, this vessel got to heal, what, once? And she's been on the field for, I think, 3 or 4 turns. So, let's see what we get here. 2 highwaymen, great, alright. Let's go ahead and get rid of him. Gonna go ahead and stun this guy. See, I stunned him because I figured I wouldn't kill him, nor do I really want to. It's much easier to manage a character you know is here and will be stunned next turn, rather than, you know, have another character pop out of the collector. But again, this is all very situational. My decision making is not necessarily the best. I probably could have killed him in a turn earlier or something like that. I'm not particularly sure. Probably if I used Holy Lance a bit earlier instead of accidentally using Sal's Fixation on the back row here, or the Crusader in position 2. But one way or another, I mean, look at this. 0 stress, essentially. 0 damage. And now it's just a matter of finishing off the weak here. And let's see what we get. Trapezohedron.
So clearly in view.
Alright.
Or is it merely a trick of the light?
I'm gonna go ahead and actually get rid of the shovel. And the reason I'm getting rid of it is because actually I could have gotten rid of it with the orbs, but it doesn't matter too much. The reason I got rid of the shovel is because this is gonna sound weird, but I have no problem with you know, not having a shovel and finding a barrier or 2, because this group is doing so damn well that in a scenario where I do find a barrier, I'll just plow through it. Yeah, they'll each take 5 to 10 damage and 20 or so stress, although with the stress damage reduction maybe slightly less, like 15 or something like that. And you know, we'll be able to essentially recover all the health and stress damage that we take within a battle or 2. So long as, of course, the barrier is not near the end. And we've done all these extra rooms here that we could actually finish the dungeon right here and jump out at that point. Now, stunning the maggots generally doesn't work because they're, well, not generally, holy shit, their stun chance is actually a tad higher than I expected at level 1, but no biggie. Just means that we need to just, excuse me, just offensively kill them. These guys are probably going to get to act before these Crusaders, since there's this difference of 5 speed here. 5 or 6, I'm not sure. But the math here. I mean, I'd like to say it's 5, but technically speaking, whatever. Don't worry about it. Alright, cool.
Be wary.
I mean,
Triumphant pride precipitates.
let's put it this way, this expedition already more than paid for itself in terms of the trinkets we found, all these heirlooms. So even if I ended up abandoning now, which I don't even remotely have to consider, I would come out with way, way more gold and heirlooms than I had when I first went in. Now, here's the cool thing. I wanted to point this out. This party is far from optimized. We could have far superior trinkets on these characters. All these characters could be level 2, and all these characters could have level 3 skills and level 3 equipment. None of that is the case here, except for only the Vestal, which again, she's not exactly our offensive line here. And we're still doing incredibly well. So you know, if you think that this is good now, imagine what it'd be like with level 2 characters, all the skills maxed out, all the equipment maxed out, for, you know, the appropriate level. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the approach here. The fact that this party composition with the right decision making and the skill choices and trinkets doesn't have to be optimal, but it's still exceedingly effective. Now, at this point, unless there's some reason that, you know, something unique happens, and that I need to commentate on it, for the most part, I'll kind of tone it down in terms of commentary, and let's see what we grab here. I'll kind of tone it down in terms of commentary and just let you enjoy the playthrough. Now, this would have dealt something like 35 or 40 stress at 0 light, but because of the 55% stress damage reduction, we barely took damage from that. Curio. Alright, now, I do want to point something out here. We have a trinket that increases trap disarm chance, and we have a level 2 Vestal here. She's going to have the highest trap affinity out of all the other characters. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to rotate these trinkets around, and now her trap affinity was gone up by an additional 10%. So now, instead of having the highest trap affinity amongst these characters be 60% or something like that, it is now a whopping 80%. Alright, it was like 70% or whatever. But anyway, you know, just have a higher likelihood of disarming this now. And there we go. So that is always something to keep in mind. Don't be afraid of rotating your trinkets out if you end up getting a couple extras. And, you know, that have different utilities. Like if you have anything that reduces food consumption, switch that in during a hunger check or right before or during a camping event, so that you can reduce the amount of food you consume and hence have much more left for the rest of the dungeon. That's 20 health. None of these characters could deal that much damage. Once I eliminate a couple of these guys out, then they literally will not be able to outpace the damage from my Vestal. The healing from my Vestal. Just gonna go ahead and get rid of these guys. I'm actually gonna force these guys to shift up front by eliminating the corpse here, which will, as you see, force them to use bayonet jab. So that is actually more effective because they deal more damage overall, even though some of the damage overflows into corpse damage. Now, I will say this. 99% of the time, I would say optimize your party, make it to where you don't even have to worry about corpses. But with this particular composition, you have the opportunity of really banking on forcing backline characters into runes that are not optimized for the front to essentially be forced to be there, and then you can take an extra turn or two and just heal away, you know. They're just helpless in the front. Now everyone's almost topped off completely in terms of health and stress, so at this point I'm just gonna close this fight out. I mean, 500 gold is not worth the damage and stress that I will take. Even though earlier I said I could very well manage it and recover from it, it's just it's so much easier to just avoid it. Period. I do want deeds really bad. Honestly, at this point, I'm comfortable enough with the amount of treasure I have that the keys are just going to be excessive. Doesn't matter if I get a couple of chests if I can't fit anything I find in those chests in my inventory. Now, she's taken some damage. I could use an AoE heal here, but instead I'd like to have my level 2 Vestal with, you know, the slightly higher damage help out the Crusaders in eliminating the backline here. So essentially that's what I'm going to have her do. Now I want to point this out. With the whopping... Oh, actually I just realized, having camped earlier, I got rid of the 60% damage buff that I had. But even without it, this is a guaranteed one-shot, and this is a nearly guaranteed one-shot on both of these guys at the same time, thanks to the additional 45% damage against Unholy, and just, you know, the overall high damage that this character currently has. Let's go ahead and just get rid of him. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and let's try to take out one of these corpses. Nope. No luck. Since if I could, I would have just stunned him and then used Inspiring Cry and all that. But at this point, I don't even have to worry about that, since he's no longer a threat. Literally a chicken with his head cut off at this point. Now, mind you, if you feel comfortable with it and you don't want to get that extra little bit of stress healing in there, you could finish the fight on 0 darkness instead of using Inspiring Cry or any of the Vestals' stuns, and, you know, slightly increase your loot probability at that point. But again, at this point, as I said, I'm just so comfortable with the way that my inventory looks. Let's go ahead and just clean it up. I have a couple of preferred locations for certain things, although this is bugging me now. So yeah. As I said, my inventory is just so damn full. Okay, so I want to show this. I have the option of going up and interact with this curio, or down and having to use the shovel. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go down, use the shovel here, and open up the inventory slot. I'm not going to interact with this because this could give one of these characters claustrophobia. And claustrophobia is not exactly clear on what it does. It just has fear of enclosed spaces, but I have reason to believe that claustrophobia, in a way, increases the amount of stress damage that characters take when they're inside of hallways or rooms, one or the other, something like that. So all in all, it's a pretty nasty quirk. Better to just avoid it. Okay, now watch. Eat 4 food, eat 3 food. There we go. All that it requires is me not automatically clicking, you know, consume food before swapping that trinket in like I usually do because of force of habit. So if you happen to have this trinket in your inventory or any sort of trinkets like it, go ahead and swap them in during those hunger prompts. Now this character, I have Survival Glide on her for the additional 10% trap disarm, and she has 8 stress, so hopefully she'll disarm it. Nope, Alright, so she's gonna bounce to like 22 or 23 or something like that.
Ancient
Yep.
traps lie in wait.
But no big deal. No big
Unsprung
deal at
and
all.
thirsting for blood.
I mean, within 1 or 2 turns, we can revert all of that stress damage back to 0. Oh no. Look at that. Okay, so this is going to be a little interesting. But because we're near the end of the dungeon and I see there are no more fights available for me to recover stress off of with Inspiring Cry, I'm not going to interact with this because all my characters would take rather substantial damage. And I do need to clear at least 1 additional room to finish this dungeon. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is go all the way back up here and finish the dungeon that way, while avoiding having to take an additional 40 stress damage on all these characters overall. Now at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and swap this survival guide here, increase her trap disarm rating, just kind of, you know, breeze through it. I don't want her to have to try and remove 8 and take an additional 13 or 14 or whatever stress, if possible. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I have lots of food left. I am not worried whatsoever about hunger checks. I could survive 3 additional hunger checks so long as I swap Bloodthirst Ring in. So at this point, it's just a matter of walking across the hallway. I mean, walking across the corridors. No luck. Which is fine.
Mind that
Again, I
such
mean, this is
missteps are the exception,
phenomenal amounts
not
of
the
stress to
rule.
finish a long scouting dark dungeon on. And there we go. That's the dungeon. And let's go ahead and return to the hamlet. Let's see how much
The
treasure
great
we
ruins
finish the
belong
dungeon.
to us, and we will find whatever secrets they hold.
Wonderful. Alright. She got sick. She got tapeworm. Alright.
Trouble yourself not with the cost of this crusade. It's
As you
noble
see, I'm
ill
just
affords you broad
getting rid
tolerance
of
in
negative
your
quirks,
choice
getting rid of
rules.
diseases as they pop up, so that my A team is as ready for fights as possible. Locking in the occasional great quirk I find. I mean, I got some awesome quirks here, like extra dodge or extra accuracy, but I'm not going to lock these in on the Abomination. His main role is to deal damage. So extra evasion, extra accuracy, I'm not too worried about. I mean, if I want extra accuracy, I'll just throw in an accuracy ring. I'd much rather, or a stun ring or something, I'd much rather have extra damage for melee attacks and extra crit on melee attacks. I think it's Slugger and something else. Oh, I have it here somewhere. Steady? No. Steady was what the other one had. Slugger and I can't remember what the extra crit. Oh wait, no, the Houndmaster has it. I think I remember. Sorry, it's bugging me that I can't remember what it is. Nope, got swapped out for something else. Alrighty, whatever. Anyway, what I want to show. Oh yeah, so as you can see, we're sitting on 137,000 gold right now. Fortunately, not enough to upgrade the guild or the blacksmith further. And I'm not gonna. Oh wait. Oh, perfect. Wonderful. Right.
In the end, every plan relies upon a strong arm and tempered steel.
I'm so rich. I'm not even selectively upgrading. I'm just upgrading everyone's equipment up to the highest possible rating. Now, other people may be a little wary of doing this. They'll say, well, I can't do that. I can't spend 50,000 gold once I upgrade my guild once in order to, or blacksmith once to upgrade all the characters' equipment. Yeah, don't. Upgrade the blacksmith and then say, alright, what's the next 4 characters I'm taking into the dungeon? Alright, these 4, alright, how's their equipment look? Do I need to upgrade it? Can I upgrade it? And then go ahead and upgrade it and shell out 3, 4, 5,000 gold, however much you need to upgrade all 4 characters. Now, other people may say, don't upgrade characters, don't upgrade their skill levels, don't upgrade their equipment until they're level 3, until they've made it past that threshold of the novice dungeons and now they're veterans. And then that's, okay, I love these characters, they made it, now we'll upgrade. That's a great way to shoot yourself in the foot. Best thing I can say in this scenario is you gotta spend money to make money. You need to spend cash on these characters and upgrade their skill levels and their equipment to however high the guild, the blacksmith, and their resolve level allows. And then they'll be much more efficient in the damn dungeons. If they get a disease or something, get rid of it. If they get some badass quirk that is just phenomenal on that character, like Slugger on a Man at Arms, for example, shell out the extra 4,000 or 5,000 gold. Lock it in. Alright, now the idea here is that when I get busts and crests, I upgrade my treatment library. I want to be able to bank on getting rid of these terrible, terrible, nasty negative quirks and lock in these positive quirks. Alright? Medical devices, do that at your own discretion. I generally try to get rid of sorry. Generally speaking, I like to upgrade medical devices all the way up to the top, but I got really lucky, and some of my characters got rabies and then things like lethargy and stuff like that, so I actually kept medical devices at rank 1, so that I'm guaranteed to only remove 1 disease at a time, which then allowed me to just remove lethargy and, for example, keep rabies on these characters. And then at that point, just upgrade patient cells as you feel comfortable. Generally speaking, because of the way that these dungeons run, I don't really need to rely on upgrading the Abbey or the Tavern. And yeah, that's about that. Hopefully, this was helpful for you. And if you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know. Sorry, Red Hook John is sending me some funny messages on Steam right now. He misread something and thought that I did something horrible when I actually didn't. So, sorry, that's why I took the pause. I was like, oh, wait, what? Alright, well, anyway, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and please let me know if you'd like to see more of these in the future. As I said, Darkest Dungeon's coming out in 4 days, and when it's out, you can be sure I will be there in the middle of hell trying to give you the exclusive juicy scoop. With that said, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.